Welcome back to Know It All, where we bring you the best practices and strategies to optimize your Medicare sales. I'm Kristen Hankinson.
And I'm Robert Turnbull. And today we want you to know your assistance programs. This is LIS edition. So I think there's a lot of confusion that surrounds low income assistance programs that your consumers might be eligible for. So we wanted to launch a series of videos that would cover a lot of these programs, some of the different eligibility requirements, and really just kind of give you a good feel for these particular programs. So today we're really going to be talking about low income subsidy or the extra help program.
Yes.
So, why is it important to talk about something like this?
I think why is for agents, to be that advocate for your client. This is a program, low income subsidy, that exists, but truly, if you're not in the business, you may not know about it. And if you do, you may not know if you qualify or how to apply. So it really makes the agent much more valuable. It helps to assist your client in their enrollment, educate them, and, unlock an SEP that you may have thought didn't exist before.
Yeah, and that's really it. I mean, when you can hit all three of those topics and get yourself to a point where you are their agent because you've unlocked an SEP, you're going to really build that value for yourself.
And hopefully some referrals.
Right, and keep them coming back to you if they do have issues, questions, or their friends do.
Yes.
Absolutely. So
what is it?
Yeah, what is it? I think that's probably the biggest piece of this. Extra Help is a federal program that is built to help Medicare beneficiaries pay for prescription drugs. It can assist with co-pays, co-insurance, and even premiums. And it's really targeted toward low-income individuals who might not be able to afford these types of things, and really built to assist them. And it is set up in different tiers based on your income level or asset level. So, you have everywhere from 100% to 25% in 4 different tiers.
So the lower the income, the higher the subsidy.
Exactly.
Right? So it's the inverse of how it works together. So, all right. So what it is, the federal program, low income subsidy, who is eligible?
So it's really dependent on income and assets. You want to consider both of those pieces when you're talking about this. So when we talk about income, not everything's really going to count as income. I mean, generally you're going to count wages and Social Security, but there are certain things that don't count that people might get confused with when you're talking to them. So food stamps, home and energy assistance.
Your primary home doesn't count, right?
Exactly. So those types of things, and I've heard that so many times.
Yeah.
Like, how can I qualify for this program if I own my own house? It's like, well, you need somewhere to live.
Right. And so your client might automatically think, well, I own a home, I shouldn't even apply. Right. And that's not the case.
Right. Exactly. Now, when we talk about, assets too, we're talking about real estate that is not primary, stocks,
like
bonds,
a rental property.
Right? Exactly, where you'd be earning, the rent from that, so you'd be earning income off that, or building value off of that. Also, not going to count, like we said, primary residence, vehicles need to be able to get around. Certain life insurance policies aren't going to count as well because unless it has cash value, you got to die to get that, so not going to count those. And based on these different levels and different tiers, are really going to give you what the classifications are, whether you're, a full LIS recipient or a partial. So, and each year these really want to change. So that's why we wanted to get out in front of this early in the year to go over these numbers because they do flex from time to time.
So for eligibility, there's a lot of items to consider, but it really does come down to, Rob, the monthly or annual income, right? So after you figure out what's in, what's out, you need to look at that final number. So what's the best way to work with a client on that?
So generally, familiarizing yourself with these numbers is going to be key, but understanding kind of the ballpark ranges where they're going to be is going to be the key because someone's not going to tell you that they make, $1,223.47 a month. Right. Most people aren't going to know that exactly. So having an idea and a good feel for these numbers, and we'll go over everything. If you want the more information, you could give us a call. Here's the telephone number, and we can get you, a detailed guide to all this information that we've been putting together. So, so for full LIS or extra help, the single income limit is going to be $1,456. So if you're talking to someone, like I said, ballpark, $1,500 a month, somewhere in that range, look at that. That might be
They're
worth.
Close.
Right, exactly. We're talking about a couple. We're at $19.60 a month. And know those annual limits too. Have them comfortable in your head. Around 17,000, 18,000 for a single, around 23, 24,000 for a couple, and that's going to get you in that ballpark range where it's
might be worth submitting.
Right,
to see.
it's worth the conversation with the consumer.
Okay.
Now on the partial side, the single limit is going to be around $1,615, and a couple's $2,175. So again, in those ballparks, $1,600, $1,700, or $2,100, $2,200 for a couple.
And those are 2021 numbers.
Right, those are the 2021 income numbers. Now when we talk about resources, the single limit is going to be $9,470, so around $10,000 in assets. For a couple, it's going to be $14,960.
Okay.
And again, in our chart, we have this counts as income, this does not count as income. So give us a ring if you want a piece of that. You want that actual setup.
Yeah, that's a lot of detail. So I think for agents, if you, to think you're going to memorize that in a day is might be unreasonable, but you can certainly make yourself a cheat sheet. Reach out to us. You can comment below, or we'll be glad to email you something or give you a call and have that conversation about how you can get that started. So after you go through that, you think the person is eligible. So there are benefits to being low income subsidy, right? To qualifying, and the benefits really are in cost savings to that member, and they can be significant. So that's why we're having the conversation today. This isn't just a small token discount. These are significant life-changing discounts, or quality of life-changing discounts that can be passed on to the member.
Absolutely, and this is, it's set up very specifically so people can afford drugs, and that cutting medications in half and things like that because they can't afford them. This is really set up to help, assist consumers out there. Yeah,
so the way that LIS works is it offers a benefit in the copay reduction, right, and the premium reduction. Right. So Rob, what are the 2021 copays?
So for a full LIS recipient, they're going to pay $3.70 for a generic drug and $9.20 for a brand drug. Okay. After they get to the donut hole at $65.50, they're not going to pay a single cent. And when we look at these copays, I always say, when you go to the pharmacy, consumers might say, which card do you use? And it's really like, I would say, show them all. You have, like you're revealing your hand.
Pharmacists know. Right. They will help.
They'll be able to sort out which one's going to give you the best pricing. And that's really what the bottom line is. Your MAPD copay might be $1 versus $3.70, and they're going to give you the lowest of all of those values.
Yeah, and those copays are for the full.
Yes.
The full LIS. So partial is a little bit different.
Yeah, and if you want more information on that, let us know and we'll get that out to
numbers. The other advantage is, of course, premium, right? So LIS will pick up the premium, pays a portion of the Part D premium up to the state benchmarks, and every state has their own benchmark. Right,
exactly, and that's kind of an average of all the PDP premiums put together to come up with that particular number.
So if you pick a plan, if the client picks a plan that is under the benchmark, it's completely paid for. If it's over the benchmark, they will just pay the difference.
Exactly, and it can also pay a portion of your MAPD premium, whatever part is dedicated to the prescription drug benefit there.
Yes, and usually the carriers will provide that information. If you, as an agent, need that information, that's available to you.
Right, and another advantage to that is it's going to eliminate the Part D penalty.
That is key. A lot of people, I don't know if everyone knows that, but if your client hesitated or didn't sign up for Part D when they were first eligible and they have that penalty over their head, the qualifying for LIS subsidy actually waives that. Yes. So it's really great.
Yeah, that could be some huge savings additionally. So, when do we talk about this? When's the best time to...
To me, I think the best time is when you're screening your client, or you're going in for your, if you want to call it your checkup or your benefit review on an annual basis with your client. But you want to ask those questions up front and start that conversation, because like we said in the beginning, your client may not know they're eligible. Right. So you have to ask, what their current monthly income is, if they're, what they pay at the pharmacy right now. Are there any other questions you think of to ask?
That's really it. Because sometimes you get people who are in a situation, they're like, well, I really screwed up my plan. Is there anything I can do? And the first question I always ask is, what are you paying for your prescriptions? Because they might not know particularly what programs in which they're enrolled. And it happens, you know.
Oh, sure.
You
This
might
isn't
be going,
easy stuff.
Right. You're going in and out of a couple different programs, and you might have this card that's old or new, or you don't really know. So you have a couple different things. So being able to identify them as agent is really key.
Right, right. So I think the only other thing we didn't go over is how do you apply? Where is this? We mentioned it's a federal program, right?
Right.
So you want to go onto the Social Security Administration website. That is where you have to apply.
Right,
for the
exactly.
program.
And you can actually, I mean, with this, you can really be a resource to a consumer who might not be as tech savvy,
Right.
might have a little bit of trouble. And I always suggest use the web portals to do the enrollments, because like calling on the phone or going in person, I mean, right now during COVID is really tough, and being on, you know, which makes the phone volume even higher. So if you can assist them in, you know, applying for a service online, and there are a ton of other ones you can help them with too,
Right.
you're going to be a real resource to them in the future moving ahead.
Right. And let's just talk just real quick about the auto assignment.
Yes.
Because sometimes clients aren't aware that they've qualified and they've been auto assigned,
Yes.
right? So if they don't pick a Part D plan, they will be auto assigned into one in their area.
Exactly. And if someone does get auto assigned, it opens up another special election period for them to enroll into. Maybe they were on maybe they wanted to be on a Medicare Advantage that included
Yeah.
a prescription drug. They can make those
They
switches.
just weren't aware.
Right.
The other item that I'll mention here while we're talking about enrollment that I just thought of. So with LIS, they do qualify for a quarterly election
Yes,
period.
precisely.
And the reason they do that is the government is looking out for them. People have prescription drug changes throughout the year,
Yes.
right? You don't just change, your prescriptions don't change with the annual enrollment period, right? They can change at any time. So if you are a low income subsidy, you've had a change in your prescription drugs, you now need more, or something different that is not on the formulary where
Right.
you currently are, you do have the option, or your client has the option quarterly to pick a different plan. And that's really the reason for it. And it's important that we educate consumers to know that as well.
Oh, absolutely. And keep in touch with your clients, you know, to see if they have had any health
Hey, if
changes.
you have any changes, give me a call.
Right.
We'll make sure you're still in the right plan.
Exactly.
Easy as that. Easy breezy.
Right.
All right, are we ready for the button up?
I think we may be.
Okay. So when in doubt, what should you do, Rob?
Submit the application or enroll for the program. If you have someone that's close, or you know you're talking to them and they're giving you some of those numbers back that we talked about, submit the application. The worst they could say is no. You know, the best they could say is sure. Here you go. Here's a lot of benefits that you didn't have before.
Right, and also familiarize yourself with the low income subsidy process and the premiums in your area. Like we said, it's a lot of numbers. You can certainly make yourself a little cheat sheet, take it along with you to your clients, or have it, if you're doing your phone consultations right now, even easier, have it right in front of you.
Absolutely. And lastly there,
Unlock an SEP, right? Which we keep talking about.
Yes.
So when we're not in annual enrollment, we are all hunting for special election periods, right? We know everyone's T65 out there is fantastic, but there's also people who qualify throughout the year. So as part of your button up, you want to, when in doubt, submit, familiarize yourself with the process, and keep your eyes open for those SEP opportunities.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much. This has been Know It All, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Right, bye.